custodian of power is leadership, or the vessel in which it is invested, that is, human society. Leadership utilizes power to achieve goals and objectives. It is more so in nation building. Leadership, experts say, is a social science traditionally, but a school of thought has called it an art. In the domain of power as used in Nigerian leadership dynamics, our guest today has recognized 7 conspiracies based on his service within an observation of those dynamics in several diverse Nigerian governments, ranging from military dictatorship through democracy that we practice today. He has written a profound work of literary art on the conspiracies in governance and dynamics of leadership in Nigeria. Our guest is Dr. Ike Neliaku. And as the popular saying goes, the horse's mouth is where we will hear it from when trying to distill or analyze power and leadership dynamics in our history. The book goes to look positively at Nigeria's potentials, greatness with the right power structure and utilization. Come with me as we delve into the book with Dr. Ike Neliaku. Well, this is Bridges, still working for a sustainable society. We will explore the annals of power history for a more sustainable power matrix to engender Nigeria to leapfrog to many of our challenges in power and politics. Welcome to Bridges. And my brother, Dr. Ike, welcome to Bridges.
Thank you.
Listen, you have given us sleepless nights reading through this book. And when you read and you see the genuinity and you're there to mention it, to give a date and name, now stands out. Congratulations on this book.
Thank you.
And the hope that is inherent in the book is why we said, come, let's build a bridge. Let's look at these 7 conspiracies. So first, let's have the background from you, because we have less than 30 minutes to dissect this. 7 conspiracies of power. Now, where is that coming from?
Well, thank you very much, Auntie Moji, as we used to call you. Now you are a chief. So Chief Mojima Konjola. It's very exciting that you have sustained this vision. And, you know, that word, the power of vision, ideas rule the world. I remember many years ago when you started this and you have sustained it. So let me start by congratulating you.
Thank you.
On the subject matter that you want us to look at, it's very interesting that man continues to do the same thing over a long period of time. I had the opportunity of serving in government. I've also had the opportunity of serving outside the government. So I've looked at things from 2 major perspectives: public sector experience, private sector experience. And I discovered that in all this, one thing that stands out is leadership. Leadership as in the public sector or leadership as in the private sector. And it is so key. Then I discovered further that there is always a central element that determines the success or failure of a leader. And that is to the extent he is able to understand the operating environment and manage the dynamics of power. Then I discovered that one central element that guides that concept of being able to understand what is at play, otherwise called conspiracy, is the issue of interest. Hence, in the book, 7 Conspiracies of Power, I say it, and it's my position. And
you're entitled to it.
And I'm entitled to it, but I haven't really seen anybody that has questioned it otherwise. I said in my landing that interest is the life wire of conspiracy. Because I discovered that every other thing anybody has done, either on the side of the conspirator or the conspiratee or the victim or the villain, there is always one central element at the heart of it, and that is the issue of interest. So when you are discussing the conspiracy of the elite, what drives the elite is interest. In the book, we looked at 4 essential traits that we say these are the cultures of the elite. One is inordinate consumption. Number 2, ability to, okay, not ability really, but the desire to control. Number 3, the insensibility of absolute acquisition, always wanting to acquire. Okay? And then, so when you look at the issue of interest in the life of the elite, you will see that the elite does what he keeps doing because he wants to maintain his interest. From there, you move to the conspiracy of eights. Eights do what they do. They serve or they don't serve because interest runs in the system. It is either he is interested in the success of the leader, therefore he puts in his best to make sure that the leader succeeds, or he's interested in the person who seconded him to the leader, who deployed him and said, go and represent us. Yes. So when he's going there, it is the interest of the person who is sending him, or his own personal interest. After his principal has appointed him, or he has been seconded, he now develops his own interest and says, leader, go to hell. The person who nominated me, go to prison. It is now my turn to shine. And then his interest comes in. Or is it the conspiracy of religion? People use religion to manipulate the society. When Marx said that religion is the opium of the people, we didn't understand it. But you see, in the book, we try to centralize the concept of opium, a drug that has a way of sedating the victim and then makes you to keep going back to it. That's what religion does to you. Religion tells you that this is how it should be done. You have no way of querying whether it is wrong or right. So religion attacks the mind, and the people know that when you get the mind to succumb to things that are not real, the mind can go to any length to exhibit its fall.
Yeah. While we go to this, within the context of these 7 conspiracies, which I would want you to mention, one after the other, just in case somebody is new, don't know about the book. But seriously, we're talking about leadership here. I would also want you to also inch into followership, because you also pointed to that. Followership in terms of misleading leadership.
Yeah. Okay, you see, there are 2 dynamics. There are 2 dynamics about followership. You have enlightened followership and unenlightened followership. Again, within the context of each of the 2, you still have another 2. So let's start with enlightened followership. Enlightened followership is an aspiring leader. He believes that by the time he follows and follows well, he could have opportunity to lead. Now, when the opportunity does not come to him, sometimes he takes offense, sometimes he leaves it to God. The other dynamic of it is that the enlightened follower thinks that the man who is there is not better than him.
And so it's just an
opportunity. As a result of that, why would I serve him? So
loyally,
exactly. So he takes the opportunity that you have given to him to propel his own ambition, and then begins to corrupt the person he is following, so that when that one falls, he can take over. Now you come to the other side of the uninformed or unenlightened follower. These are the unfortunate, innocent illiterates that the leader is happy to keep them at the low base of society where they are, so that they will never rise above him. And that is the dangerous part, because that's what we are now having in society. You have them in a larger preponderance across the country. Those who are illiterates, whenever there is election, they are the ones that are easily vulnerable to be manipulated, because they're the ones who are hungry, they're the ones who are sick. The one who is hungry needs food. So anytime you give him half a bag of rice, you have his soul in your hands. And some leaders try to manage those ones. However, the challenge here is the inability of the enlightened followers to package themselves, manage themselves, become the real people that can speak truth to power in a manner that the leader knows that I am being watched. In the course of my work, I discovered that one of the major challenges of leaders is that they feel that the followers are docile. At best, they make noise. The noise does not always amount to much. And they know that when people make noise, especially in Nigeria, over a short period of time, the highest that they have ever gone is 4 months. And go and check it. In fact, check the leadership of Nigeria from 1960 to date. There is always an average acceptance marginal point, and it is 6 months. It's usually after 6 months that they begin to complain. So whether you are doing well or you are not doing well, there is that sensibility that has been entrenched in the environment that once you score 6 months, get ready for trouble.
Right. Well, we'll just take a break there. We'll return. And just for you viewers, if you are just joining us, we are trying to analyze and dissect a wonderful literary work of art that is, I mean, it's open. He's brought it out now. The book is entitled 7 Conspiracies of Power, and of course, the author is here with us. We'll be back on Bridges in a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're still on Bridges and trying to build a solid bridge of leadership, sound leadership, and of course, loyal citizenship that will move us from, I would say, the challenges that we are facing as a people, looking through the lens of the past and being able to build a formidable and stable future. We're using the book, 7 Conspiracies of Power, to determine what we had in the past that has brought us to where we are, which we really don't like, and moving forward. Doctor, thank you for staying on.
Thank you.
How many of these conspiracies have we spoken to?
We've talked about 3.
Okay, name them.
We've dealt with the elite, conspiracy of the elite, conspiracy of AIDS, conspiracy of religion. That's where we stopped.
So we have 4 more.
Yes.
Quickly, let's go on.
Conspiracy of the clan.
That's another big one.
You know, that's the influence that comes from the family, friends, ethnic community, tribal interests, and so on. And you know, Auntie Moji, the challenge of that particular one is that it gets into the bones.
That's it.
When your spouse has interest, and the interest of your spouse is at variance with the interest of the state, you're in trouble. Because if you don't have the strength of character to look at him or look at her, as the case may be, and say, my dear, what you're asking me to do is not proper and appropriate. Or your daughter, or your son, or even the person who trained you at school. And the person looks you in the face and said, so after all the sacrifices, I did this, I did that, and so on, or your community comes to celebrate you, all along you have been suffering. The day you appointed this, they keep a date, they select a date that they want to now honor you. And then as they're honoring you, they're giving you a list of the things that the community wants from you. And then your ethnic group will come and tell you that this one has never happened before. Our people have not done this. It is turn by turn. It is now our turn. So allow us to enjoy our turn by turn Nigeria Limited. It is now our boss. Let us enter it and drive home. So that is very, very touching. The next one is conspiracy of the environment. People ask, are we groomed? Are we nurtured? Or is it by nature? Leaders don't take time to understand their operating environment. And because we have not learned how to groom leaders to understand their environment, most times the environment deals with them. It is what you have that you give. If you are a product of wrong environment, you will manifest wrong environment to the society. That's why in this book, I said, never give power to a bitter man. Because a man who is bitter, or a woman who is bitter, caused by his environment, you know, being angry and sad, These two words are different in meaning and in concept. They are different from being bitter. Bitter is in the soul. So the person manifests bitterness. The words that come out of his mouth, bitterness. The expressions, bitterness. The thinking, bitterness. It is a product of the environment. So when you have such a person coming to a place of leadership, expect bitter outcome. The way he looks at life or she looks at life is different from how any other person looks at life. The next one is the conspiracy of ego. Again, very dangerous. People get into power and suddenly another spirit takes over them. And then they begin to manifest a different person. I don't know if you have asked yourself a question. How come this particular person, I've always known him. He is forthright. He wants to do the best for the people. He's very truthful. He's very transparent. But the day you give him an office, something on that seat takes over him. And then he begins to develop an ego, a personality that is foreign to his own. And then things get into his head. He begins to see himself as a messiah. People around him begin to pump him. And then it gets into his head. And then he begins to now manifest himself in a totally different way. And at the end of the day, the same person now changes to somebody else. Ego has come in. Pride has taken him over. And he wants to demonstrate that he's the best. And then the last one is conspiracy of foreign relations. The international community is always interested in digging empire. Somebody told me a story. A Nigerian, an elder statesman now in his 80s, he said he was told by a classmate that when you come to a place and they give you a food, try to demand for 20. The tendency is that they will now consider you and perhaps give you 10, not even 2. Meanwhile, what you wanted before was 1. And when Henry Kissinger said that we are not interested in international systems, we want to be the international system. So when a nation strives to be the international system, it means that they want to control what entirely is going on. When they want to control nations, they come in different ways. The summary of that is that nations are not alone. Every other nation is interested in manipulating the other country. So if you are not aware that you are being manipulated, too bad for you. I mean, let's look at it. How do they manipulate? Unknown to many people, some of the movies that we watch are products of manipulation. But in our own system, we are yet to come to terms with such things. So when they do it and they export such things, you sit down in your house, you are watching these things, you will not know that it is somebody's policy that is being fed into your subconscious. So this is what you see in the international community. Now, I pity leaders who don't understand these dynamics, that these 7 things are staring you in the face. If you are making yourself available to lead, always ask yourself this question. Do I have the capacity to withstand the challenge of the elite? Am I in a position to manage my aides in a way that they are one with me? Have I risen above religion in a manner that I will not smoke it as opium? Do I have the capacity to stand against my family when their interest is contrary to the interest of the oath that I have sworn? Do I have the capacity to withstand my ego and to know that power is only a position, but it shouldn't get into my head, and to use it to do good? Do I have understanding of my operating environment in a manner that I have been properly nurtured and nurtured in a way that I can do justice when given the opportunity? Do I understand international politics and international relations and know the language of managing these things and how these things happen so that I can be a good leader and deliver results to my
yes,
people.
we are, so this is so apt when we are looking at the dawn of 2023, and where, as we know now, a lot of political ins and outs are happening around us. These 7 conspiracies have become an imperative to study, to learn, and even for us, for everyday use.
Oh, yeah.
Even at home, because people say politics is there even at home. How are you able to manage? What kind of a bridge should we be building? The sustainability of this bridge that will build, that will emerge, or that will evolve, the kind of leadership we are looking forward to, or the kind of citizenship participation that we hope we would get, especially as we look at 2023.
Okay, to give you an example, if a leader, because we're talking about bridges now, if I understand certain things about my society, I should be able to rise above tolerance and rather take respect. If somebody comes to me to tell me that this person is very bad, I should be able to process, why is he telling me this about a third person? Is it because of his interest, or the interest of the office, or the interest of state? Which one? I should be able to analyze. By the time I analyze correctly, which is like the system of diagnosing health issues to know exactly where the problem is coming from. By the time we're able to understand what it is, it helps the leader to know. So it is not because Moji is from Kwara that makes her good or bad. It is not because Musa is from Katsina that makes him good or bad. It is not because Kayode is from Ondo that makes him good or bad. It is the content of Kayode that demonstrates who he is. It is the capacity that Kayode has in him to deliver that should attract me, or attract him to me, or attract me to him, so that I can build a bridge of understanding. So I must look beyond those things that we have fed into our minds, and we have fed the same thing into our children, and our children are prepared to feed the same food into their own children, and then we continue to build a society that is in disarray. So it is high time that we look at the higher things that put us together, which is respect every man, don't tolerate. Unfortunately, the principle of tolerance is, I don't like you, but I will just manage you. Who are you to manage another human being? But you see, if I respect you, I respect you for who you are. I respect you for what you are. I respect you because I believe that you have some qualities that make you a human being.
That stands you out.
Exactly. It may not be the best. You may not be perfect. And none of us is perfect. So I am canvassing that we change these words. We drop tolerance. Because when we say ethnic tolerance, religious tolerance, no. Ethnic respect, religious respect. Respect me so that I will respect you. By the time we take that, you see that we reduce violent communication in what we do. And when we begin to reduce violent communication, we are building bridges of understanding.
Thank you.
Which is the ultimate.
I'll take you, because I wish we could just continue with this, but bridges of understanding, bridges of respect. That's our next level, to continue as a nation, to continue as a people where leaders of purpose will emerge. Dr. Ike, thank you very much for spending your time with us on bridges.
Always a pleasure to be on bridges.
Oh, to be on bridges.
We need the bridge.
We need the bridge. Anyway, we started bridges together with him. So we needed to bring him on with this book. And I just recommend this book. But let me just read on a final note. I use it as a passing shot. And this is a statement from Dr. Deria Woshika, MNI, MFR. She used to be a permanent secretary and now chairman of the bank. She wrote, and I read, Dr. Ike Neliaku has done brilliant work in interpreting the trajectory of Nigeria's history, nation building, and challenges into 7 conspiracies of power. I'm glad that he brought out some information on the personality and lifestyle of my late father, Chief Festus Okotiebo, who was the first Minister of Finance of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I commend the book as an outstanding resource material for true patriots and those who want to understand Nigeria. You will certainly enjoy reading the book and emerging as a leader who would respect, who would be there to speak truth to power and emerge as the new leader for a new Nigeria as we look forward to 2023. Thank you again, Dr. Ike, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, and this is Bridges. We'll be back same time next week.